Small Show, where we give you straight talk with no chaser. Here, we discuss issues from the White House to your house. And now, here's your host, Nicole Small.
Good morning, everybody. I am back. Unfortunately, I don't know where oh man, I done lost something. I don't know where my stand is to hold this up. So bear with me, but we'll keep going until I find it and I could get this set up the right way, because I've surely been looking for it for the last 10 minutes. So my apologies for yesterday. I ended up having a screening that was rescheduled at the last minute. And then I also had a campaign event like immediately after. So the time did not permit for me to come on. But I appreciate those of you who reached out. I was trying to see how to set it, to send a message through YouTube and through. Okay, something is wrong. Am I not on Facebook? Okay, no, Marcia, I see you. Hold on a second, y'all. Okay, can y'all see me on the Nicole Small Show? Because I don't see this coming up. This is why I hate when I don't schedule this on time. What is going on? I don't see it. Oh. Okay, so you can see me on my regular page, but you don't see me. This is crazy. What is going on today? You see me on my regular page, but you don't see me on the Nicole Small page. Hold on. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Yes, good morning.
Nicole Small Show on Facebook.
You can't, is it Nicole, or can you see me on the Nicole Small page? It's not on the Nicole Small page.
I just see now it says Nicole.
Okay, let me figure this out. Can you call back in 2 minutes?
But at first I saw. Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious. Not today. All right, let me give you guys an update. We'll just move forward. I don't know how to fix it, and it may not be fixed today. I don't know, because I can clearly see that it says that I'm on the Nicole Small page. Oh, I know why I'm not on the Nicole Small page. Because I'm looking at the wrong page. How about that? Okay, wait. You guys are about to be able to see me. It won't let me edit the privacy. What kind of mess is this? It says edit post. Facebook is crazy. Why can't I edit the privacy? Okay, I seriously am going to move forward. My apologies to anyone who can't see this, but this is definitely supposed to be public. That's why you can't see it, because it's not coming up public. So yeah, yesterday I ended up having a screening. and that was rescheduled. So I couldn't get on here in enough time. Time just was not going to permit. And so I definitely appreciate everybody's patience. And again, I have stated this before. Let's see how this looks. Okay. I have stated this before during this campaign season, and we're only 49 days away now. Um, this schedule is going to be crazy, but I will try to make sure I at least come on for an hour. So today I have another screening, and I have a screening with one of the newspapers today at 9 o'clock. So this show will be short. So my apologies. So let's get into everything that's going on. Of course, I have to start off with the charter. We are on the ballot. The ballots have been printed. So regardless of whatever else happens, we are on the ballot. So Proposal P will be on the ballot. And I'm going to try to do this in the most easiest, the simplistic way for you to understand. What we are waiting on, while the Supreme Court has approved for us to be on the ballot, what we are waiting on is for them to actually give an official ruling on the arguments from both the Charter Commission saying that Detroiters should actually have the right to vote, to versus those plaintiffs who are out here spreading lies and misinformation about Proposal P, right? Because they still have their lawsuit in saying Detroiters don't have the right to vote. The Supreme Court has granted us a stay 2 times, which means that it's been their level of justice that has said leave it on a ballot and look into what the law actually says. So you will see it on your ballot. You should be receiving your ballots. If they're supposed to go out around the 17th or the 18th, you should be receiving something, I'm assuming, by like the 23rd or so. So you guys know what to do as far as that goes. You notice how many people have joined in on this opposition to Proposal P. I find it interesting. You got that Sheila Cockrell who always want to sit on the meetings and she don't ever have a word to say. Then you have who else is on there? Oh, Charlie Beckham. We knew he was gonna come up out the woodwork. That's no surprise. And he was on what do you call it? Charlie Beckham was on the radio. I think he was on there with Horace Sheffield, who was also opposing it. I don't believe any of these people have read the charter. I'm just gonna be honest with you, because the things that they are saying, they can't reference one part of the charter that actually says what they claim is in the charter. So it just goes to show you how people will stop at nothing to make sure for a few pieces of silver to sabotage the entrance and to compromise the rights of their own people. Like how disgusting is that? It makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, we expect this from Sheila Cockrell, but these other ones, and the majority of them are Black men. I know the Lieutenant Sergeants Association, their president, Mark, is opposing it. I don't know what his reasons are. I saw a couple of other people up there at the No on Proposal P press conference. None of these people have engaged in the process. No one has come to the charter and asked us anything. So it's the same story. So as you see them mount up their people in opposition, just know I don't even think they've read it, right? I really and truly don't. So it's that part. The billboards. Hold on, let me close this door. The billboards are up. I saw one on the Southfield Freeway, and then I saw another billboard on, it's either 94 or 75. And you guys start checking in and let me know where you see these billboards. So this is what it says. No, Proposal P is a problem for pensioners. Now, this is the part that really just, did this phone just shut down? Proposal P is a problem for pensioners. Well, I find that interesting considering how the pensioners had their own focus group and participated in revising the charter. I'm sorry. So do you see how disingenuous they are? Proposal P is a problem for pensioners. So since I know that I've seen 2 billboards already, you know what's coming next. Absentee ballots come out within another week and a half, 2 weeks. So just be prepared for your mailboxes to be flooded with No on Proposal P. We ought to have a bonfire with all that literature. Everybody ought to bring their literature, and we ought to have a bonfire for it, so we can show them how they wasted their money to try to undermine our intelligence. But let me say one great thing I have, as I've been out here on the campaign trail. These people want to know, Detroiters want to know, now they want to know what's in the charter. So I think that that's definitely a plus for us. They're like, well, what is in it that they don't want us to see? Now they want to see it. So we might actually get this thing passed. I'm hoping so. You'll hear more about, we will be doing a portion of the campaign phase that we actually can do with this little bit of money. Um, and some of those things will be coming out. I am going to find out today what actual date we will have this one pager out. We have to give you a handout so you know what's going on. I do want to give you a few updates on my campaign, and we do have our guest Elena. I see she just joined us. So I did receive an endorsement. I think I told you this before, but if I didn't, I want to make sure I recognize them from the Michigan People's Campaign. A lot of them are from Michigan United, Laborers, Local 1191, Operating Engineers 324, IBEW, Local 58. Yesterday, what is the pack from the LGBT, not Q. Look, I learned something. Okay, they're just LGBT. They have a C4 mobilize Detroit. I believe it's mobilize Detroit. They endorse. I don't know who else they endorsed, because I know the Laborers and the other ones they endorsed myself again. So I don't know who else they endorsed, and I wonder why they don't have the Q on there. I don't know. They change a lot, so I can't keep up. And then I have done a lot of screenings. So just to let you know, I don't care who it is. If it is anybody who took some money from us, you know what I feel like? This is going to be the best way for us to get our money back. And then the other people, I just feel like, if you're really aligned with, our values of making Detroit better, then in my opinion, we all should be approaching them. And those are the people who you really want working on your campaign, as opposed to just receiving an endorsement. But I must say this, the biggest endorsement that I've ever received are from those of you who support me, who actually live here, and I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate how y'all come out and help me knock doors, how you've been helping me at these other events. I really appreciate the words of encouragement. It means so much. There are a few of you who said that you would do phone banking. I am going to work on getting those sheets to you this week. We changed a few things. There are a few precincts that we haven't touched that we want to make sure that we prioritize those for phone banking and get those to you. So let me say this. I need to figure out a logo for the people's endorsement, because that's the most important endorsement. Those of you who are supporting me, who live here, who are in the community, it means so much to me. And I'm just so truly humbled, being out here and have people say, keep up the good work. And you need that. Like, we're 49 days away from the election. So please know, I appreciate the inbox, the text, the calls. When I see you on the street, and you still encourage me, and I definitely appreciate the prayers. It means a lot. It means a lot. And the reason why I continue to go so hard is because now that I've stepped out here and said that, I'm going to run, it's important that I don't take your support for granted. Okay. Everybody doesn't get the support of the other people in Detroit. And so I don't want you to think I take it for granted. And so I'm going to do the best. And all of you on the team, we're going to do the best to make sure that, we don't disappoint you. And just having your endorsement is not enough. You have to get out here and do the work. So know that that's why I'm working hard. That's why you may see the schedule on this show be a little crazy. It's because I want to make sure that we're taking advantage of these opportunities to increase our chances of winning. And we know we'll probably make it through the primary, but we don't just want to make it through the primary by a few votes. We want to make sure that we also educate the people. Let me say this to you. this whole campaign piece is more than just talking about this at-large race. There are so many people who don't even know that it's an election, and we know that this is by design. So please know that we're educating them that there is an election. I'm even telling the people who don't know that they're not going to have a primary, that there won't be a primary and that their ballot will look different. So there are a lot of moving parts to this primary. I honestly don't know if we'll have a large voter turnout. To be honest with you, it's not looking good, but you know what? We're going to do the best that we can to educate people and to let them know. Let's bring on Elena.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for inviting me. Let me see. It's kind of dark in here, huh?
Yeah.
Turn the light on.
Okay. And I can see so much light behind you. That's weird.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, that's the reason it gets dark on my face, is because of the sunlight behind me. But
yeah.
I wanted to
listen, Elena, I wanted to bring you on because just going back to the charter, we have had a few groups to join in with the amicus brief. So one of them, it's an attorney from the Arab American, he's Arab American community. He's from the Arab American community, and him and a couple of people have joined on to write that brief. And then we have another brief here recently that has been submitted by the Van Dyke 7 Mile Association, which is an umbrella of community organizations in District 3. So they've signed on. And then I will say, before they signed on, you have been very vocal and I'm inquisitive about, well, who's going to represent the Latina community. So I want people to know that you have tried to join on with other groups, but talk to us a little bit about why having your own brief for your community to talk about how this is voter suppression if Detroiters aren't allowed to oh, wait 1 second. One thing I didn't explain to everyone here is that if we vote on Proposal P and the Supreme Court rules that we were not compliant with putting the proposal on a charter, meaning that we did need the approval of the governor. If they rule that we needed the governor's approval and we don't have it, then even if we vote on Proposal P and it wins, the revisions will not be in effect. So that's why we're waiting on the ruling from the Supreme Court. Even though Proposal P is on the ballot, we must have the approval from the Supreme Court, because the Court of Appeals and Third District Court has said, no, take it off the ballot. It shouldn't be on there, and they need the approval of the governor, even though the governor has said we don't need the approval of the governor. You see how crazy this is? So, and because those plaintiffs won't drop their lawsuit, that's another problem as well. They should drop the lawsuit. So I wanted to explain that.
We should be going to their houses for voting rights violations, for suppression of voting rights. Because if one or two or a handful of people can keep us all from not only being able to vote on a proposal, and the issues that are within that charter are the things that would begin to liberate Detroit from the foot of the emergency manager on our neck, we should be going to their houses. It's a small group. There's so many more of us than there should be, and they should not be able to appear in public at all.
Definitely more of us.
I want to also say that the charter that's in place, remember, I want for our listeners to really try to remember how much there was like a explosion of information and coverage by the news when there was going to be a charter revision on the ballot in 2009 for the 2010. There was you would have thought it was a presidential election. There was so much attention. If you did a news analysis, a side-by-side compared to what the Detroit media did with that one and what they did with this one, and one of the reasons that they didn't know me well enough to keep me out of the media then, because I was on every forum. I was the only Latino running for that seat. And there's some background to that too, but they really wanted to highlight District 6 because we would want what? Districts. We would want districts. And the whole end game of that 2010 election was to bring in districts. And that's why they put so much money and so much effort and so much emphasis in the media for having that charter revision, because they were going to break open citywide and turn it into districts. At that time, I also thought that districts would be a good idea. I did. I believed it because I was on the school board. I could only get elected by district. Since then, they've gone to citywide on the school board and I can't get elected. So this is really true about having representation in a community like ours. We're not across the whole city. We're concentrated into Southwest Detroit. We couldn't get representation that way. At that time, East Detroit, East Point Public Schools was forced to have district voting in the city of East Point also because more Black people had moved there but could not get elected onto city council there. So there was a court ruling that they had to go to district voting. So these were the kinds of things that were at play at that time. What I did not know was, and Mr. Tyrone, a lot of people were opposed to districts, and now we see how correct they were, how right they were. They said it would make things so much more unfair, and they were right. And every time I have a chance to say so, I say that I was mistaken in supporting districts. But I also know that for Detroit Public Schools, which is a completely different demographic than the whole city, because the people that go to Detroit Public Schools are overwhelmingly the poorest people. Otherwise, everybody took their kids out or put them in other places. They put them in private schools. All these white people coming here, they do not have their kids in Detroit Public Schools, even though they have a white superintendent, even though they have everything that they could ask for, but they don't need it, just like transportation. So the interesting thing about this charter is that we didn't know that it was going to be on the ballot till what, Nicole? How much time did you have to, how many days did you have to get your signatures? Maybe 3 days, 4 days to get your signatures. We didn't have any time to do it, and now we end up getting 3 good people on the charter. And at the time, I was telling you, this is a charter in exile, and it really turned out to be exactly the same deal as Detroit Public Schools. You can have the charter, but it's not going to get on the ballot. You're not going to have the money to push it, and we're going to end up going to court for everything that we want. We're going to end up with these judges that are always going to side with power, and here we are. So the work that you've done on the charter is excellent work, but it didn't matter. They didn't want it on the ballot once they didn't have the people that they wanted. If there's questions, I really would like to know if there's questions about whether or not the Latino community will be able to be involved. It's been an uphill battle to get participation in our community to begin with, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and I'd really love to engage you in a discussion about that, how that went. So let's discuss why there are so few Latinos involved in it. Can you hear me?
I can definitely hear you, and I don't know what happened. The whole thing flipped out. Yeah, tell us why so little are involved. Is it because it's a primary election and the voter turnout for local primary elections are not always that high, but that's by design. We've talked about that before, right? Okay. And even now, we don't see as many people pushing the voter education component of this election. So why is it such little involvement?
I have to explain to you a little bit about the history of the leadership in the Latino community and the way that it's structured. Because we're one small community compared to the overall larger community in Detroit, especially compared to the larger Black community, the majority community in Detroit. So in Detroit, we have nonprofit organizations, and there used to be what was called a consortium. And the consortium was a group of Latino agencies that were led by directors and boards of directors of people who worked in there. Was LACED, which is Latin Americans for Social and Economic Development. And I'm telling you something that is the historic construct of the leadership of our community. Okay, so there's a lot of people that are really not aware of this. And if you're not in this mix and you are interested in the dynamics of the Latino community, pay attention, because there's going to be a lot of discussion about how this went down. We had LACED, which is Latin Americans for Social and Economic Development, SER Metro, which is service employment rehabilitation, that's Jobs for Progress. And that's, so LACED did social services and advocacy. It started in 1965, I think. SER Metro is a national organization that does job training. There was Latino Family Services, but it no longer is. They still have in name only. There's Hispanic Development Corporation, and there's CHAS Clinic. CHAS stands for Community Health and Social Services, which is the clinic with doctors and nurses and where the people go.
Where is that located?
It's on Fort and Junction in Southwest Detroit. It used to be, it has moved there in the last several years, but CHAS Clinic is a central piece to our community, but it is a clinic. And I think it's aligned with Henry Ford Hospital. It's a really important part of our community because all the people can go there. It doesn't matter your status or anything else.
Oh, that's good.
Babies, everything. So CHAS Clinic is essential. LACED was the first organization that filed the lawsuit with LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens, for the right to bilingual education. For all the lawsuits that have come out of our community on behalf of Latinos have come out of LACED. Jane Garcia is the chair of LACED, and a lot of people know Jane as a warrior. She's been a Republican forever. Her husband was in the Raza Unida party, which was the party that split off from the Democrats to represent Chicanos. It was a very militant group, and the Brown Berets originally met inside LACED. So LACED has a long history of advocacy, and this kind of a strange twist toward Republicans, because the Republicans that are in the community were very adamant that they were not going to be taken for granted by the Democrats. So you need to understand the history of Republicans in the Latino community. And it's probably not that different from Republicans in the Black community in a certain sense of not being wanted to be taken for granted by Democrats, but there is a split there. There's a definite. Okay, so that's a history. The only ally that I have had in the community since I got appointed to the school board the first time to replace Otis Mathis when he left, and then I was elected when I ran for office, and then we were under emergency manager that whole time. The only ally that I've had that whole time was Jane Garcia, because Jane has been an adamant supporter of voting rights all these years, regardless of what the situation is. So people are saying Democrats don't like me because I'm too far left of the Democratic Party, because I'm involved with these leftist things. And then there's Jane, who's a Republican, and there's nobody closer in terms of allies and political analysis than me and Jane. That's the way it breaks down. So Jane has asked for LACED to be a friend on the brief, to the amicus brief. And the main reason that Jane wanted to do that is because who's on there? NAACP have joined the brief, right? So when I told her NAACP is on it, she said, well, they're with the voting rights, I'm with it. So there we are.
Wait a minute. Now, the NAACP did put out a press release saying that Detroiters should have the right to vote, but they're not supporting the charter.
That's okay.
I have to look for their amicus brief. I didn't even know that. I better catch up. So go ahead.
Well, I'm down with that. At least you have a right to look at it and vote against it.
Yes, I agree.
That's okay, so the James taken here.
So we only have 30 more minutes because I have another candidate screening interview at 9 o'clock.
Well, so let me run through this for you really quick. The nonprofits have been completely appropriated by Skillman, Kresge, Kellogg, by these. And so the nonprofits several years ago used to meet as a consortium, but then Skillman came in and said, we're going to give all the money that we have in Detroit, all the money that comes into Detroit is going to go to Southwest Solutions because they have capacity. And these other little organizations don't. So they were trying to get everybody to merge or disappear. They wanted everybody to just merge under the umbrella of Southwest Solutions, which has always been white-led. So the communities, organizations refused to do it, except the ones that wanted to get the money from Southwest Solutions, and they went under them as sort of like fronts. So they get a lot of, have a lot of relationships with them. And I'm not going to mention any names, but their initials are Hispanic Development Corporation, which is way up to their eyeballs in the foundation money, and we're very involved in the school takeovers. There was, and that was what Raquel was doing too, because a lot of the Latino community has been completely undermined by the power of philanthropy, except LaSed. So here I am with LaSed. So I wanted you to understand that dynamic when you hear of Hispanic Development Corporation and all these very progressive and radical groups. They're very progressive, but they're all the foundation's thumbs. That's what's up.
So let's move on to the political, the election, these races for the primary election side. Give us an update on what's going on in District 6, and then I want to move on to the other races. And I know you want to talk about the endorsement. Oh, do you want to talk about what happened at the meeting for the 14th to rescind the motion to say that? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
To say that they're not going to withdraw endorsements or support for candidates that don't support the charter.
Right.
Well, they say that they support the charter. That's one thing, but they're not going to give it any teeth.
So the same motion that passed was almost unanimous, except for one person who voted against it. They don't even live in the city of Detroit. Right. And then all of a sudden, people didn't understand the motion. The motion was clear. The 14th would not endorse any candidates for mayor or council who do not support the charter being fully funded. That's exactly what it said. It was very clear and easy to understand. So all of a sudden, people didn't understand what it meant, and so it was rescinded. And the vote was. Well, hold on. The vote was 15 against. So they say after they saw, 15 for rescinding after they saw that 14 of us were opposed to rescinding the motion.
Yeah. Yeah, they would, it was their usual trickery. But if they didn't do that, they would have done some other trickery to be able to still endorse the people that, because I got a call from a candidate who's running for citywide city council who I don't really know. And I just asked him if he was supporting the charter. And he said, well, people I really respect in the community are not supporting it. And I said, well, then, okay, thank you, click. There's not much to
know. You should join. Now, let me tell you, you should really join a candidate forum if you really would like to hear he used to be a Republican. Now he claims to be a volunteer for the DNC. And then, so I don't know, kind of strange. And then he talked about the great job that Duggan is doing in this city. I said, oh. And I said, well, I don't know what city you're talking about, but let me tell you the reality of what Duggan is actually doing in Detroit. And so I had to educate him on a candidate forum about that. He doesn't even know what's in the charter. He's not aware of this being overtaxed. There's a host of issues. So it's very concerning to me that people like that, just because they get signatures, especially during a time where we have so much tension around the political climate, think that they should run for office. Why don't you go and learn the issues and really talk to Detroiters and find out what's going on? But continue, Elena.
I want to raise this too, that there has been this person is afraid to go on the record, but they had been gathering signatures for Raquel. And it turns out that those signatures did go to Gabriela Santiago Romero. People aren't going to want to talk about that openly because they want to have they want a political life ahead of them. So, but
so that's why we didn't know that Gabriela was running. Because it was really the signatures that were pulled for Raquel, and then Raquel handed over the signatures to Gabriela so she could make the ballot. Interesting.
And Gabriella has an office here in Corktown, which is the very high real estate, which means that people in power, people with money, want her to be in city council. And Raquel was able to really, she did something that was so low down that kept us from having Latino representation for so many years, like when Ilona Varga ran, when McNeely ran and put Ilona in. We never got a really serious chance at running candidates because the incumbents would always put in their person that they wanted before there was a chance to do it. We just haven't been that sophisticated in the game, and now it's being done to candidates in the grassroots in our community. So it's shameful. It's shameful, and that's one of the reasons.
So is David Sanchez? Is he going to run?
He's running as a write-in, but it's so unrealistic to think that you can win a write-in campaign when you were kept off the ballot for not having enough signatures. I like David a lot, but he didn't get on the ballot, and I don't.
So he is running. So he is running a write-in campaign.
He's running a write-in campaign. Yep.
But it won't be until the general.
That it won't be until the general.
Let's talk about that. Wait a minute. Let's talk about that part because that's very important. Okay. You know, I find it interesting how both David and Adam Mundy are being kept off of running a write-in in the primary, according to the clerk's office, but they allow for Mike Duggan to run as a write-in in the primary, which is what you want. You want to be a write-in in the primary so you can actually get your name on the ballot for the general. So they allow for Mike Duggan to run as a write-in in the primary, but they're not going to, I don't understand. Did the rule change or what?
There are not rules for Duggan. I don't know why anybody's even raising that. Duggan doesn't have to do anything. Duggan can have affairs. He can direct money to his girlfriend's. We have the highest infant rate in the whole country. Nothing hurts Duggan when he's got the power of the Detroit media behind him. Nothing's going to hurt him. He can do whatever he wants. He's got the clerk, he's got the courts, he's got the media. What could he, if Duggan could lose this, it would be really a miracle because he's got every possible advantage, not at the very last one, counting the absentee ballots. Duggan has every possible thing in front of him. I give a big hats off to Anthony Adams for running a campaign against Duggan. And a serious one. Duggan is terrified of him. He is terrified.
He should be, because some people are definitely changing, but I would really like to know, like, what do the rules say about being a write-in candidate for the primary? That does not seem fair. If there is already 2 candidates in the race, right, and then you have a third, I don't understand why those candidates cannot be on the primary as a write-in.
You know what? Let me say this. Let me just say this. I take my inspiration from Mexican elections where candidates are killed, disappeared, and everything else, and Mexican people never stop participating and never stop voting and still push to get their candidates and their parties in countrywide. Because in Detroit, we've had every possible obstacle put in front of us to put Duggan in, who's beloved by no one. Duggan is beloved by no one. A white mayor who is despised by the majority of the people has been able to continuously do this, but it's going to be up to us through social media, through grassroots on the ground, to be able to combat the overall massive media sort of campaign going on. The other thing is,
hold on one second. Let's take a call.
Okay.
Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show.
Good morning. How you doing, Commissioner? My name is Glenn. I'm passing out your literature on the east side. I didn't meet the Candleman.
Good.
The literature, and I've been passing that out. I've been talking to people all in the neighborhood, all over the neighborhood, down the blocks, a few blocks over, and I'm keeping that moving. But man, I found out I got more crime around my house than I thought. Talking to these people.
Wow.
But yes, and but I'm getting out there today, and I'm passing literature. And what I tell the people is, don't take my word. I know I'm giving you the literature. You read the literature, but you got a show on YouTube, and all you have to do is go there and watch you on your show. And if you like what she's saying, you go with her. If you don't like what you're saying, okay, you move on.
That's right.
But I said you'll definitely see that she's for the people. And you guys were talking about the write-in candidate just a minute ago. You know what irks me even to this very day, and I don't talk about it much because I don't want to, talk about Napoleon, who's a good guy. He was a poster child of the city. Everybody liked Benny. He ran. He was, but Duggan came in, the outsider, the whitest city in America, and I just didn't see how Benny Napoleon lost that race because, number one, if you're playing poker and your opponent is an outsider and he's a write-in and he got to depend on the city that's 40% illiterate that can't spell your name, but yet you let them tell you we're going to let, if the people of the city of Detroit deserve the vote, no matter whether they're illiterate or not, and if they can spell his name and they come close to his name, we're going to count the ballot. I thought Benny Napoleon, God rest his soul, I thought Benny Napoleon should be an attorney, should have said, we don't change the write-in laws for one person. If they love him so much, they better learn how to spell his damn name. Because if they can't spell his name, I'm going to take him to court and throw all those ballots away. And I just don't, he had everything in his favor. And
Benny had a lot of backing. Now, I'm going to tell you that's somebody, that was one candidate who had the Black establishment and he had Black grassroots and grassroots overall, no matter what color they were, to be honest with you, that were supporting him. Glenn, one thing that I think that we're all challenged with that race, in addition to what you said, is how we don't know if Benny was comfortable on that last month or so. Something happened after he had that debate with Duggan and he called him Livonia Mike and Duggan looked at him and said, you're going to pay for that. It was almost like we didn't see that fire in Benny. And I still agree with you. You must spell the candidate's name right. That's what we've always been told. But I always wonder, like, what was the shift in the campaign after that? None of us believed that Duggan won that write-in either. So it definitely should have went to Benny, but maybe he felt like he was tired.
Well, I thought, he got tired early because when Benny, the first time I heard him, he was at a church and he was talking about real Detroiters. And when he got on Devin Skillian's show on Spotlight or whatever, the light that show is called on Sunday.
Oh, Flashpoint, yeah.
What is a real Detroiter? All he had to say was a voter. But he started talking about Penske and all these big names. I thought he lost it then because it started to look like he kind of given a apology tour of what he said prior. And that irked me. But he was not my first candidate. My first candidate was the woman who used to be the head attorney, Christine Critton.
Yes, Crystal would have been solid.
And my second at that time was Tom Barrows. But they didn't make it. I thought both of them would have given Duggan hell write-in candidate. Especially Christine being an attorney herself. And, I just, and boy, after that, but right now, passing these literature out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And if you want me to, I can come and walk your block and walk your area with you. I just did somebody's Sunday. And so this week I got a couple of more people. District 6, I'll be walking with Elena. And I got a couple other people in other districts. So let me know if I need to come over there and talk to someone personally.
Okay. Well, I'll get these pretty much all done, and when I meet you, you can give me some more, and then that'd be cool.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Take care.
No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See,
I don't know, Elena. I also think it's a fear factor. A lot of people out here, they won't admit it, but they are afraid of Duggan.
Well, there's the thing that this gentleman just said, I thought was really encapsulates so much of what I've been saying and what Detroit feels, and that you can see how rigged it is, but you're going to still get out here and fight for your candidates. And I think that that's really important, that no matter how rigged you see it, no matter what Benny did, we can talk about that for a long time. For those of us, especially who were watching on the recount, of the Duggan campaign. Thank Tom Barrow and the Citizens for Detroit's Future, that we got to see the ballots. We got to see the boxes open. We got to see the manifest with 2 different fonts. We got to see how that worked. We also were the people who got the signatures for emergency manager, and then after 650,000 signatures were gathered, they said that the font size was too small.
Yes.
We've seen every kind of trickery across the state to keep their foot on the neck of Detroit and take the resources and keep draining them from the poor and giving them to the rich. But still, like Glenn was saying, he's still out here. He's still going to walk, still going to talk to the people, still going to, because it's really important to educate so that people will become at least aware and astute enough about where our resources are going. I think it's so important.
I think, but this is my point. Affording him those types of privileges is very dangerous. And the part that kills me is that while I know this is all by design, I don't think that people who are doing this really understand how, while they are somehow benefiting, how this is going to blow up in their face too. Again, why can't Adam Mundy and David Sanchez be a write-in on the primary election? It makes a huge difference in being a write-in if you're allowed to be a write-in on the primary, because we all know the general election is the largest turnout, right? So having your name on that ballot balances the scales a lot more. So I've started reading, but I didn't find anything in election law. And I would like to know, what is the justification that they're being given that they cannot be a write-in on a ballot against Scott Benson and against Gabriella and, is it Hector?
Yeah.
But I think it's really about being a write-in against Gabriella is the problem, because see, she's new to some of us, you know, while there are others talking about she's done the work. I'm like, well, she must have been doing it in a closet. So I don't know.
Who hasn't been doing the work? What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Who hasn't been doing the work? So has David, so has Hector, so have I, so have you. We've all been doing the work.
Yes.
And that kind of a narrative, to me, it's just a ruse. To say, oh, this person should be on the ballot, should get a free office in Corktown, should get her signatures done by somebody in secret who's going to give her the full advantage of incumbency. And then, you know, Rashida and Raquel gave her money from their campaigns.
Oh, no doubt.
So well funded. That means also that she's got all this philanthropy money.
Well, I don't know if she does make it. I mean, I don't know that much about her. I keep saying that. I just hope that she stands strong for the people. That's all I can say.
Either way, that's what I hope. If you're sneaky about coming in, then how can you trust that person?
Oh, I didn't say trust her. I just said what I hope. I hope that she does the right. I mean, if she's gonna be there, listen, we just don't have the numbers right now, right?
Look, this is my daughter's generation. My daughters went to school at Western High School. And their alumni group.
Gabriella go to? Did she go to Western?
She went to Mercy High School, from what I've heard. Very wealthy private school.
Oh, there's a connection, because what school did Raquel go to? She went to
Liggett.
Both of those schools cost a lot of money. Go ahead.
They cost a lot of money, and I'm telling you, I really do think the Detroiters need to vet, because the other connection here is U of M. U of M has got their hands so deep in Southwest Detroit. Into that
a lot of study.
They got
so a lot of data.
Yes, remember Detroit School for the Arts? How U of M took it over.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much connection between U of M and these philanthropic backed candidates. I call them the Benetton kids, and the Southwest Solutions and other groups have gone into the Latino community for years and years, and had parent groups. They love Latinos. I'm telling you, they love Latinos, especially people that don't have voting rights, and say, you don't need voting rights to have excellent schools. They give them cards, they give them gift cards, they give them all kinds of stuff. But
in all fairness, they're in other schools too. They're in University Prep. I know that they were in Cornerstone, U of M. They've been in a lot of those. So let's do a recap. What about the Board of Police Commissioners? Because it's 8:51. What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, I got literature from Landis. Spencer, and he's got my vote. I think a young guy like Landis should be on the police commissioners. I don't know who else is running. I think Lisa Carter may be running.
Lisa Carter. I think they're the only two.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I hope I don't have anything personally against her, but I think that the surveillance contracts and being a constant yes vote for Duggan on the police commission needs to go. So Landis has my vote for that. Yep. But District 6, I'm going to support Hector Santiago on the principle of the dirty, unfair, low down way that Raquel did this district.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she hasn't even said anything about it. I find that quite interesting as well. She doesn't think that she needs to address the issue. It is an issue that needs to be addressed. But,
you remember that she escorted Judge Rhodes through all the schools. She was hand in hand with Judge Rhodes.
But people just seem to forget that. People seem to forget that. Okay, so listen, let's talk about voter turnout in District 6.
Okay, it's been really low. Traditionally, It's been really low, and that's one of the reasons that there also has never been that Citizens Advisory Committee. There's never been one of those here, and which to me has everything to do with the council member, right?
Yes, it does.
Be organizing that, but they didn't do that because they don't. That it's just arrogance, basically. That you don't have to do anything. The charter has not been followed in the one that was in place. It's never been followed. Mm-hmm. So we're worried about our charter that has reparations in it. Our charter that has the right to be able to redirect our own resources from the Downtown Development Authority. No wonder they don't want that, because people are waking up and reading. But the District 6 turnout has always been really low. People say that it's much higher because Raquel was elected. So and there's been a lot of gentrification in District 6.
Oh, a lot of gentrification in that district.
Yeah, Hubbard Farms, Hubbard Richard less so, but Hubbard Farms is over there where the big houses are, West Grand Boulevard, Vinewood, those big nice houses. That's very gentrified, and that's going to be the people that are going to support Gabby.
So speaking of gentrification, go ahead.
I hope that 48217 will support Hector Santiago. I hope that they will. There's also
I've been trying to call a few people over there, and I haven't been able to get a pulse on, what we call that, the black side of the district, what they really want to do. But I'll definitely continue to try to make some calls. But speaking of gentrification, on Monday, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Listen, I want to walk everyone through what has been given away in this city, including land and opportunities and funding. We all have to be on the same page. We have to have very sound and clear messaging when we're out here talking about why we oppose the conduct of this current administration. When you talk about giving away land to those who don't even not only live in this city, they don't live in this state. When you talk about giving away opportunities of jobs and economic resources, when you talk about handing over other city assets and federal funding, I want to tell y'all what their plans are. And I couldn't do it today because we only have an hour show because I have to get ready for this candidate screening. But listen, I have a list of what the plans are for this $1 billion. $424 million is here right now. And I'm just going to give you a snapshot of what we're going to talk about on Monday. They want to put $50 million into the Joe Louis Greenway so they can extend a river walk from where it ends by Joe Louis Arena, where it was torn down, and take it over through that space. $50 million. Don't they already have capital investment money? Where's the Riverfront Conservancy? What about the Illages who were allowed to walk away with $200 million in debt, only to go down the street on Woodward, and we're not getting any concessions from that? So let's talk about the poor business practices and the capability to negotiate from city council in this city. And you're going to ask us to take $50 million out of money that we're receiving because we're experiencing a pandemic and to put it into another extension of a greenway? Detroit has been walking forever. Okay, we've been walking forever. So we need to be clear. I need y'all to come on here on Monday, take notes, because you better understand where they're talking about putting this first 424 million, which means if we allow for this to happen, we won't get any parts of that second 424 million either. That will be the result. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Elena, for being a guest and definitely keeping us abreast of what's actually going on. Boy, I wish it was a way you and I could go down there to that river walk on Monday and video where they're talking about putting that money. That would be good. But I would have to do that on my phone. I need to figure that out.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
I'd love you to walk in here and see what it's really like over here. I'm telling you, there's got to be covenants. But thank you so much.
No, I agree, because I saw some of those condos down the street from you. That's absolutely insane. They just slap it up.
$700,000 in one of the poorest cities in the whole country.
Okay, so we'll be back Monday at 8 o'clock, everybody. Be safe. Okay. Thank you all so much for your support. Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.